My name is Sarah Perkins. For 5 whole years, I endured humiliation from my husband Jack because I loved him. But that evening, he crossed all boundaries, and I couldn't take it anymore. We were expecting guests, my husband's colleagues. Preparations were in full swing. Crystal glasses clinked in time with the soft music floating under the ceiling of our living room. I smiled, adjusting the napkins on the table, although inside everything was tightening with foreboding. Today, Jack invited colleagues. Another meeting where he would shine, and I would be that sweet wife who serves snacks and refills glasses. "Sarah, did you check the wine?" His voice sounded demanding, as always when important people were coming to the house. "Yes, it's chilling," I replied, trying to stay calm. "The white is already in the ice bucket. The red is breathing." He gave me a scrutinizing look. "Is that what you're wearing to greet guests? Put on something more presentable." I looked at my dress, simple but elegant. I had bought it a week ago specifically for this evening, but I kept quiet. It was pointless to argue. In 5 years of marriage, I had learned to pick my battles. "Okay, I'll change," I said, and went to the bedroom where I took out a black dress from the closet that my husband considered presentable. It was expensive, one of the few gifts not given as an apology for something. When the doorbell rang, I was already standing at the door with a smile, the perfect wife of a successful man, as Jack always presented me. "Welcome!" The living room quickly filled with people in business suits. Men discussed the latest market trends with feigned seriousness, women who wore what. Jack beamed at the center of attention, talking about his latest project. "And then I told the director that their marketing strategy was 5 years out of date." His loud voice came from the bar area. "They didn't even know about the new targeting methods. Can you imagine?" The audience around him nodded approvingly. Meanwhile, I was serving snacks when I heard a question from Emily, the wife of the company's new commercial director. "Sarah, what do you do?" I opened my mouth to answer, but Jack was quicker. "My wife is a housewife." He said it with such a condescending tone that everything inside me clenched. "Someone has to keep the house in order." And he winked as if he had said something witty. "Actually," I began, but he interrupted again. "Sarah cooks very well and creates coziness. It's her calling." Emily looked at me with slight embarrassment, clearly feeling the awkwardness of the situation. "Did you work before?" she asked. I wanted to talk about my economics degree, years of work as a financial analyst, but Jack didn't give me a chance here either. "What work?" he laughed, hugging me by the shoulders so tightly that it looked more like a grip. "She tried something with accounting, but it's not for her." Emily looked increasingly uncomfortable, and I decided to change the subject. "Who else wants wine?" The evening continued. I smiled, served drinks and snacks, maintained meaningless conversations while everything was boiling inside. Every time I tried to engage in serious conversation, Jack masterfully changed the subject or made a joke that put me in an awkward position. By 9 o'clock, the level of conversation had risen along with the amount of alcohol consumed. Jack, flushed from alcohol, was talking about his promotion, which, according to him, was just around the corner. "You'll see. In 6 months, I'll take the chair of financial director." He raised his glass. "Unless, of course, our mysterious owner decides otherwise." He grinned, and everyone laughed, clearly knowing some joke known only to them. I was silently collecting empty plates when Mark, one of the senior managers, asked, "What do you think about this mysterious owner? No one has seen him, and the company is growing like yeast." "I think it's some foreign investor who doesn't even know where he invested his money." Jack waved off. The main thing is that the company works, and who gets the dividends is not our concern." Brian, the head of HR, supported. "They say it's a woman." The room exploded with laughter. Jack laughed the loudest. "A woman? Seriously? Don't make me laugh. What woman can run a company of our level?" "My sister runs a construction company," Emily noted, but her comment was drowned in a new wave of mockery. "Women are good in the kitchen and in bed." Jack winked at his colleagues, and I saw some of them awkward glances. "Business is a man's job." I felt the blood rushing to my cheeks. For 5 years I had been silent. For 5 years I had pretended that his jokes didn't hurt me. Emily turned to me again, apparently trying to smooth over the awkwardness. "Sarah, what kind of education do you have?" I opened my mouth, but Jack, as if sensing danger, intervened again. "She has some accounting courses there." He waved his hand. "I don't remember anymore. And it doesn't matter. I earn enough so that she doesn't have to think about money." "I have a degree in economics," I still answered, looking directly at Emily. "Oh, that's interesting," she replied. "What difference does it make?" Jack interrupted, and I noticed that he was already quite drunk. "A woman with an economics degree is like a monkey with a computer. Looks funny, but no use." Several people laughed nervously, others looked into their glasses. There was an awkward silence, which was broken by the sound of breaking glass. A plate slipped out of my hands. "Sorry," I mumbled, crouching down to pick up the pieces. "See?" Jack spread his arms theatrically. "She can't even handle dishes. And you're talking about economics." I felt something break inside. This was the last straw. "Jack." My voice sounded unexpectedly firm, even to myself. "Maybe that's enough?" "Enough of what?" He raised his eyebrows in surprise, clearly not expecting resistance. "Humiliating me in front of your colleagues." For a second, complete silence fell in the room. Even the background music seemed to get quieter. "Humiliating?" He laughed, looking at the guests as if seeking their support. "I'm just joking." "Your jokes aren't funny," I said, straightening up and putting the shards on a tray. He approached me, still smiling, but I saw a dangerous spark in his eyes. "Don't like my jokes?" His voice got lower. "Sorry I hurt your fragile self-esteem, but let's be honest." He turned to the guests. "If it wasn't for me, you'd be living in a rented apartment and counting pennies until payday. Who would you be without me?" Someone from the guests tried to change the subject. "Maybe more wine?" But Jack was unstoppable. "Look at her!" He was literally pointing his finger at me. "Pretending to be a businesswoman with an economics degree, but without me. She's nobody. A beggar." He spat the word in my face. Everything inside me was screaming, demanding to answer, to reveal the cards. But I held back. Not yet. I calmly put the napkin on the table and said, "I think the evening is over." "I'm sorry," I addressed the guests, "but I need to talk to my husband in private." "Let's go, shall we?" Emily was the first to stand up, signaling to the others. "Thank you for the evening." The guests began to say goodbye hurriedly. In their eyes, I could read embarrassment, sympathy, and in some, condemnation. It was unclear only in whose direction. When the door closed behind the last guest, Jack turned to me. "Happy? You embarrassed me in front of my colleagues." I was no longer holding back my indignation. "It was you who called me a beggar and incapable." "Well, isn't it true?" He smirked. "Who pays for this apartment? Who buys you clothes? Who gives you money for your endless trinkets?" "Jack, you know nothing about me." I said quietly.
"What's there to know?"
He snorted.
"I know everything about you. Without me, you're nothing."
I turned and went to the bedroom. A minute later, I returned with a folder in my hands.
"What's this?"
He frowned.
"Documents that you never bothered to look at. The ownership certificate for the apartment."
So what? I bought it. No, Jack. I bought it. Before our wedding. It has always been mine. He opened his mouth, then closed it, not finding what to say.
"And also,"
I opened the folder and took out another sheet. "Here's a statement from my personal account. You can look at the amounts." He took the paper, and his eyes widened in surprise. Where did you get so much?" "From the same place where I got this apartment, and the car you consider yours. From business." "What business?" He shrank. "I own the company, the very one where you work, and where you dream of becoming a financial director." His face turned white as chalk. "It can't be," he whispered. "New Era belongs to some foreign investor. New Era belongs to me. From the very beginning, the mysterious investor is just a convenient legend so that people like you don't ask unnecessary questions." Understanding flashed in his eyes, and then horror. "You all this time?" "Yes, Jack. All this time I've been your boss, and I've been listening to how you humiliate me and all women, incapable, in your opinion, of doing business." He fell into the chair, not taking his eyes off me. "But why? Why did you keep silent?" I took a deep breath. "Because at some point I believed that you could change. Because once I loved you. And now..." I fell silent, and this silence told him more than any words could say. I looked at Jack, sitting in the chair with a lost look, and felt a strange mixture of relief and bitterness. 5 years of lies were over, but along with them, it seemed, our marriage was over too.
"What now?"
he finally asked, raising his eyes to me. I took a deep breath. "Now, we need to discuss a lot, Jack. But not today. You're drunk now, and I'm too tired." He nodded, as if agreeing, but then his face twisted with anger. "You've been deceiving me all this time! Using me!
"Using you?"
I felt anger boiling inside me.
"I gave you a job.
An opportunity to grow professionally. You chose the path of arrogance and contempt." Jack stood up, swaying.
You're just envious of my success. You can't accept that I'm better than you."
I shook my head. "Jack, you don't understand. It's not about success. It's about respect. For colleagues, for me, for yourself." He headed for the bedroom door.
"I need to think. Don't bother me."
The door slammed, and I was left alone in the living room. Only now did I notice how my hands were shaking. I sank onto the couch and covered my face with my hands. Morning found me on the same couch. I couldn't sleep, replaying the evening's events in my head and planning the next steps. When Jack came out of the bedroom, gloomy and disheveled, I was already dressed and ready to talk. "We need to talk," I said, placing a cup of coffee in front of him. He nodded, avoiding my gaze.
"I understand."
"Jack, I didn't want it to turn out like this," I began. "But you left me no choice."
"Why didn't you tell me from the beginning?"
His voice sounded tired. "At first, I wanted you to love me, not my money or status," I answered honestly. "And then I saw how you treat successful women, and I got scared." He winced, but remained silent. "Jack, I can't live in a lie anymore," I continued. And I can't be with someone who doesn't respect me and my achievements.
What are you suggesting?
He asked, finally raising his eyes to me. Divorce, I answered firmly. And you'll have to leave the company. His face paled.
You can't do this. It's illegal.
I can, Jack. And it's absolutely legal. I have records of your statements, complaints from employees. You've created a toxic atmosphere in the team. He jumped up, knocking over the cup.
You set it all up.
No, Jack, I interrupted him. You did all this yourself, with your words and actions. He fell silent, breathing heavily. I saw fear, anger, confusion flashing in his eyes. You have a choice, I said, trying to speak calmly. You can leave quietly with good recommendations and compensation, or we can do this through court, where all the details of your behavior will come to light. Jack sank back into the chair as if all the air had been let out of him.
You've thought it all through, haven't you?
I nodded. I've had a lot of time to think.
What about our marriage?
He asked quietly. Was there one, Jack? I answered with a question. You loved the image you created yourself. An obedient wife who admires you and has no opinion of her own. He was silent, and I saw the reality of what was happening gradually sinking in. I'll give you time to think and make a decision, I said, standing up. But don't drag it out. The company has big plans, and I need to move forward. I headed for the door, but his voice stopped me.
Sarah,
do you really think I'm not capable of changing? I turned and looked at him. At that moment, he seemed so lost, almost like that young man I once fell in love with. I don't know, Jack, I answered honestly. But if you really want to change, start with honesty. First of all, with yourself. With these words, I left the apartment, feeling the weight of the past becoming lighter with each step. A difficult day was ahead. I needed to meet with lawyers, talk to key employees, prepare a statement for the press. But I was ready for anything, because now I could be myself. Sarah Perkins, a successful businesswoman and owner of New Era. And what will happen next? Who knows? But one thing I knew for sure, I will no longer hide in the shadow of my own success. Did you like the story? Write your opinion in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications